Good morning, and thanks for being with me. It's a cold morning here in the eastern portion of the United States. It's one of those days that it's gonna be probably around 60 degrees. It's fall, still not yet winter, but it's frigid in the mornings. It's a little bit before 5 a.m., before 6 a.m. I like to get my day started early because that's the only time that I believe that I am close to any kind of um, something that I want to continue for the to the rest of the day. So I can only do that in the morning, and it also helps with my discipline. It also helps with my wanting to stay disciplined and focused. Uh, Poetry is something that has always been with me, and I'd like for it to continue. So, in saying things in a normal way, it has its benefits, but it's often more creative for me to find my creative voice, and in doing so, discovering a more eloquent, creative way to get out what a lot of us carry within us, which are thoughts, feelings, understandings of someone else, the empathetic palette that encapsulates what is to be a human being. Hope you're well. Hope you are disguised in the person that you need to be for the day for you to go well. And I hope that you get to take off that disguise whenever you see fit. And that's from a play. Let's get started. How are you feeling this morning? That we many times don't get to answer that question for ourselves. And part of the reason why I like to get up early is because uh, you get to determine the trajectory of your day. You feel that you have control over something that's beyond salary, that's beyond uh, the regular, mundane, habitual patterns that we tend to fall into, that I tend to fall into without some kind of balance. So, whatever uh, you're doing, let's say you're a police officer, doesn't mean that you can't take a ballet class. Because you're a sports athlete doesn't mean that you can't find your creative voice and find something internally that will allow you to, in many ways, be your own doctor, in many ways, be your own client, in many ways, wear a different hat. That's where the disguise portion comes in. It's more about adapting to what's in front of you. It's more about, uh, you know, being able to be someone that you can live with. And if that person is a lot different than yourself, then you might want to take some time to reestablish, all right, what does it mean to be myself? We may give without we may give without loving, but we cannot give without but we cannot love without giving. We may give without loving, but we cannot love without giving. Work is love made visible. So, in other words, if you can't fall in love with your work, then perhaps it's something that you might want to learn to love. And learning to love your work doesn't mean complaining about what you have to do, but doing it in your own way, having the ability, having the high capacity to find joy in even the mundane things, but in your own way of doing it, or finding little things inside of you that can help you make big things, that can make you do something that's repetitive, simpler, something that's repetitive, seem simpler. Something that's repetitive seem like you are excellent at it because you will begin to be that. Work is love made visible. And many times that love is doing something that you have learned to love to then do something that you really love. It also takes two to make up after a quarrel. All right. So after you have some kind of headbutting, some kind of altercation, it takes a high level of thinking for both people to realize, well, we are either in a better place because of it, because now we both understand one another, or because we have taken it onto ourselves to realize, well, the things that we were fighting against, we were both fighting for the same things going in the same direction. It takes two to make up after a quarrel. These are observations on this path that we call life. One of the things that I have the habit of doing over the last few years is journaling. And sometimes the habit is greater, sometimes it's smaller. But if you stay in the habit, it usually involves keeping some kind of writing pad. Pen and paper works fine. Pencil and paper works best because you can erase and you can edit. But anytime you can transfer thoughts to paper, things that you wish to accomplish tend to happen quicker. Faults are thick when love is thin. Faults are thick when love is thin. If you don't really have an interest in someone, you are easily going to find a reason why this person is not for you, or anything that they will do for you will be in vain, or you might not notice what they're doing for you, or what they can do for you, because the faults are outweighing the benefits that you see that they can do for you. So if you keep complaining about what someone is doing, you just keep complaining. Not if it's something that you really need or something that you really are, that it's not what they call non-negotiable. But if you, for instance, someone says, well, this food doesn't have enough olive oil, and the person now starts putting a lot of olive oil to cater to your needs. But then you find something else, and then you find something else, and then you find something else. Oh, now the weather in the room is too hot. Well, now maybe whatever. If the interest is not there, there will always be a reason why this person cannot do right by you. So, the love faults are thick when love is thin. To love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. And again, it's another expression connecting the joy of work, joy of labor. And that's something that perhaps when life was harder for a lot of people, they were more connected with their inner part of them, because they had a focus that could not be shaken. They had a focus that had to be there for invention, for creativity, even if it's to stretch out one plate of food into 3 plates of food. Even if it's, okay, well, I'm going to be here for most of the day. I'm going to be that place for most of the day. Well, I have to find a way to make my mind strong enough so it can last from 5 in the morning until maybe supper time, 6 in the evening. To love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. So, inmost secret. And again, what's the secret of life? Perhaps it's work. You see that many places in life that are considered beautiful, it looks like a lot of work went into it, whether it's visible or invisible through nature, or excuse me, or visible through nature. Do not judge a friend until you get to stand in his place. We often tend to judge those through our own lens. He who sows courtesy reaps friendship, and he who plants kindness gathers love. All right, so again, the separation of courtesy and friendship seems to go together, because if you are courteous to someone, it's the easiest way to become someone's friend. You don't have to be from the same place where they are. You don't even have to speak the same language. But a simple act of courtesy can signal to someone, hey, this person could be a good friend. And when you plant those simple seeds of kindness, they represent the beginning of anything that can be seen as love. You shall judge a man's woes. You shall judge a man by his foes as well as by his friends. My writing is getting a little unneat. You shall judge a man by his foes as well as by his friends. Adolescence is the age at which children stop asking questions because they know all the answers. And that can be seen even in your own childhood. There's a point where you go from depending on your parent for everything. Perhaps it's natural in the cycle of life, but it's also the time when you need your parents the most, or perhaps guidance. And perhaps it's a sign that you need guidance from other people or people that are going to take you to the next level. But if it's not your parents, then who? Perhaps the calling from the school of life is just around the corner. Adolescence is the age at which children stop asking questions because they know all the answers. In occasional emergencies, there is not much that one man can do for another, other than to help him to help himself. And a lot of times we see this in trying to help someone, reminding themselves of who they really are, or the things that they already know but they've forgotten, so they need to be reminded to get them over a hump. And sometimes the person doing all the reminding needs somebody to do that for them, because they don't have anybody to do that for them. So it's beneficial if you're around people who are willing to help you over humps and know what a hump looks like, so they can help you over and not crumble in front of the sight of something tough. The door to the human heart can be opened only from the inside. So let's see it as a call to patience, right? The door to the human heart, right? Poetic language, can be open from the inside. So if you're trying to force a friendship, if you're trying to force a relationship, if you're trying to force affection, if you're trying to give where there's nothing growing or nothing that's attached yet, right? How many times does the grappling have to be thrown up to catch on to what it's supposed to catch on, so then you can climb the wall before it's enabled to be climbed? If you throw a grappling up and the hook is not attached to anything, good luck trying to scale that wall or getting over whatever it needs to get, wherever you need to get to, because it has nothing to attach to. You just keep throwing it up in the air and it keeps falling down unattached to anything. The door to the human heart can be opened only from the inside. And it also involves sometimes the the wall itself being the type of wall that has places for hooks to fall into, and not just a place that is so smooth that everything just going to slide off into it. If there's no place to catch on, then perhaps you are climbing in vain. Friendship is to be purchased only through friendship. Again, I'm going by what I said before about what the seeds of friendship. The only way to buy friendship is to give friendship. And sometimes it's harder to do than others. These days, it seems to be harder to do for many people because most relationships right now are in the form of followers and likes online, as well as the dopamine from presenting to a big audience compared to the lonely admiration of a friend. Time change, I guess. Friendships begin with a friendly sign, a nod, a smile. The person who decides to speak first, or the person who decides to forgive first. All these things are necessary for a friendship. In other words, the better you have an understanding of yourself, the more you can decide that you want to let people in, or if you want to let people in. And that is the beginning of everything. Being able to decide, hey, is this person going to be a good friend? Is this person worth getting to know? Is this person who I want their energy close to me? Or is this somebody who I want to keep away from because they might not be the person that is trying to do me damage, but they're going to put me in contact with someone who's going to do me damage. And damage and disrespect, it can mean energy. It can mean people who are going to be happy if you do not succeed, or people who just indifferent to your success. And success can just be you keeping the promises that you've made to yourself. So balance in this sense is the basis for friendship, as well as knowing yourself, as well as committing to your purpose on this earth. And these are my notes for this beautiful Wednesday morning. I hope this carries on to the rest of your day, and I hope that you got something from this and go take on the day in the best way that you know possible.